The hadith collection of Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim with an authentic shape narration in their Sahih, narrated to us by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, where the Prophet ﷺ says, and this hadith is still within the theme of Ramadan preparation, so we'll continue to narrate a hadith about Ramadan and the fiqh of Ramadan and the beauty of Ramadan, inshallah, and the sunnah and adab of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu grant us the blessing of reaching the shahr of Ramadan and living through it, and be granted the beauty of His forgiveness and His freedom of punishment, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma ameen. And until Saturday night. And this hadith here, I think I've narrated before in other settings, but it's a very nice one. I think it's worth giving its own little section, and for you maybe to try and know it. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام الصيام جنة فإن كان أحدكم صائما فلا يرفث ولا يجهل فإن سابه أحد أو شتمه فليقل إني صائم إني صائم. So he said عليه الصلاة والسلام in this hadith, الصيام جنة. Junnah meaning it's a barrier. It's a barrier. Which is why jinn are called jinn, because they exist behind a barrier. Because the concept of barrier is that. Like junoon, losing your mind, is because there's a barrier in your mind. You can't. It's the same concept that is just repeated in different ways within the Arabic language. And if you get interested in sarf in Arabic language, what you find is that the Arabic language is an extremely logical language. And the root of any word has a specific meaning that is just used in different ways, which causes all of the different usages and derivatives that we have within the language. So junnah means a barrier. Al-siyamu junnah, meaning it's a barrier between you and haram. That's what he's trying to explain, alayhi salatu wasalam. It's a barrier between you and bad things. It's like it's pushing you farther away, so it's a barrier between you and doing anything bad. So فَإِذَا كَانَ أَحَدُكُمْ صَائِمًا, so if one of you is fasting on a day, فَلَا يَرْفُثْ وَلَا يَجْهَلْ. Rafath is any sexual gestures of any sort. Halal, may they be halal or haram, mostly used to describe halal. But don't do anything, just put your sexuality away. Just hang it up on the door when you leave the house, because you're sa'im that day. It's just you have no use for it. There's no use for it at all. If there's no halal use for it, then there's no haram use for it either, right? Sometimes the male mind fails in discriminating between or distinguishing between what is halal and haram. Sometimes the male mind has that problem. So when you're sa'im, you just hang it up. There's no rafath. Where else do you not have this problem? Or, forgive me, this practice? You have this practice as well in Hajj. Right? الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج. In Hajj, you put your sexuality away in every form or manner. In every form and manner. You don't have any relation with your wife, and then you're there with a couple of million people. Half of them are going to be women. You shouldn't have any sexuality at all. You shouldn't be thinking about this at all. Are you going to walk doing tawaf staring at the sisters around you because they don't have a niqab on? I've seen this. I've seen people do one of the worst things in the world. But this is the concept that you leave that piece out. I know that that's a important part of our existence, but for the purpose of Hajj and for the purpose of the day of Ramadan when you're fasting, just put it aside. فلا رفث ولا يرفث ولا يجهل. Al-jahl is don't enter into an ignorant conversation. It's literally what it means. This is literally what this word actually means. And jahiliyyah is ignorance, and the known poetry of Amr ibn Kulthum, the known poet who murdered the king, Amr ibn Hind al-Taghlibi, and then he basically improvised one of the mu'allaqat right then and there, and he said, ألا لا يجهلا أحد علينا فنجهل فوق جهل الجاهلين. No one be ignorant with us, we will be 10 times ignorant than they are ignorant. And Arabs felt that there was some reason to be proud of that, your ability to be extra ignorant. But لا يجهل, don't get into an ignorant conversation where you say something you'll regret, or you do something that is unkind, or you just stay away from that. It's a barrier. Stay away from that. So if someone does that to you, فَإِنْ سَابَّهُ أَحَدٌ أَوْ شَتَمَهُ, if someone curses you out or mistreats you or speaks, فَلْيَقُلْ إِنِّي صَائِمٌ إِنِّي صَائِمٌ, say, I am fasting. I will not respond to this. I will not engage in this because I am fasting. I have a barrier between me and ignorant behavior. Hopefully that will continue after your siyam. But even if it doesn't, at least during your siyam, you have that barrier where you'll say, I'm fasting. It's like you explain to the person in front of you, it's not out of weakness or a fear of you. I'm not going to engage in this because I'm fasting today. And I'm not going to engage in a behavior that will ruin my fasting. Because it's not just fasting from food and drink, it's also fasting from these types of behaviors that are frowned upon. I hope that's of benefit to you. يروي الشيخان فيما اتفقا عليه من حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال الصيام جنة فإذا كان أحدكم صائما فلا يرفث ولا يجهل فإن سابه أحد أو شتمه فليقل إني صائم إني صائم. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.